Hey, welcome to Brain Training Basics with me, Dr. Trish Leigh. I'm a cognitive neuroscientist and a sex addiction recovery coach. So, welcome. In this video, which I'm going old school, I'm going OG videos here with PowerPoint slides and images. And the reason being is I want to walk you through brain training with the Muse headband. I am a Muse ambassador, which means I tell the world, get the Muse headband to help with anxiety, attention, and internet addictions. That's my jam. So in this video, I want to show you how you can use this headband to literally train your brain into the optimal brain performance pattern, get yourself out of that anxious mode, improve your attention, and definitely stay out of the screen. So I'm going to tell you quickly how to use it. Then I'm going to show you some brain training graphs using the Muse. And then lastly, I'm going to show you, not lastly, actually secondarily, I'm going to show you what the optimal brain performance pattern looks like and what the brain pattern for anxiety, what the brain pattern for attention issues, and what the brain pattern for internet addictions looks like. So stay with me because we're going to cover a lot in this video. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you what you can do, how you can learn to use that headband to the best of its utility and capability. So without further ado, we will move on from the cringy picture of me from a few years ago using the Muse headband. I included it because I wanted to show you what the Muse looks like. This is the headband right here, and you can see it in this image. In the front of the headband, there are 5 sensors in the frontal lobe. There are also 2 sensors on the earpieces that go above your ears. Now, the beautiful thing about this headband is that it trains the frontal lobe and the temporal lobes, and in doing so, it basically addresses the areas and the brain patterns that are at the root of anxiety and attention issues and the pattern that puts you back into the screen. So we're going to break it down in just a second. What I wanted to share with you is that for almost 10 years, my hubs and I have had a private practice in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It's called Leigh Brain and Spine. And in our private practice, we have state-of-the-art neurofeedback systems that do all kinds of neurofeedback. But the number one protocol that we use with people is in fact in the Muse headband, which is why years ago I started telling the world, get a Muse headband. So anybody who comes into the office, we still tell them, get a Muse headband and use it at home because it will really help you. So Muse has taken the one universal protocol in the areas of the brain that mostly need the work and have made neurofeedback accessible, which is why I'm so excited about it. In the description and pinned at the top of the comments under this video is a special exclusive link for 15% off the Muse headband from the manufacturer Muse if you use this special link. And that discount shows up in the checkout. So you have to kind of go through a few pages, and at the very end in the checkout, once you're in the cart, in the checkout, you'll see that discount. And I don't know why Muse does that, but they do. So just if you're looking for that discount, you have to kind of get to the very end before you put your payment in, and you'll see the discount there. I'm wearing the Muse 2 in this picture, in this image. There's also a Muse S. So if you click on the link and you get over there to Muse, there's also Muse S, which stands for sleep, and it has a stretchy headband, and it has the utility of being able to use what they call digital sleeping pills, which obviously are healthier than sleeping pills. So if you have a particular sleep challenge or sleep is really difficult for you, and the reason I say particular or really is because most people sleep. If they need this headband, sleep is an issue. And I'll tell you why in just a second, but if you really can't sleep, then you might want to get the Muse S. I prefer the Muse 2. I like the rigid headband over the stretchy one, but they're both great. So whichever one looks better for you and you're excited about, they both work wonderfully, but you can use the Muse S for sleep. Now, the reason that I think the Muse 2 is great without the S feature is that if you use the Muse during the day, you will in fact improve your brain performance pattern, which will bring your circadian rhythms online. And circadian rhythms basically are how your brain uses electrical energy within your days and across your days, which in fact impacts the sleep cycle. So, long story short, if you muse in the day, you improve your brain performance pattern in the day and in the night so that you sleep better. And we'll talk about sleep in different videos in terms of brain training. Fingers crossed that I get a whole playlist going on brain training, because I think I'm just going to go OG so I can do it without editing and get you the information that you want, because people have been asking me for a long time to make these videos on the Muse headband. Okay, so if you purchase your Muse headband, you use the special link, you get 15% off. It shows up. It's very easy. They walk you through how to use it. When you get to the homepage, you will see that this is not the exact homepage, but one of the first pages that you'll see. You want to choose meditate. And when you choose meditation, you'll see that there's mind meditation, heart, body, breathing, guided meditations, and a timer. Choose mind meditation. When you choose the mind meditation, it's neurofeedback brain training. Now, neurofeedback means feedback to the brain, neuro, and you're getting the feedback to your brain in terms of auditory feedback when you use the Muse, and you choose a soundscape. This one is chosen for ambient music, which is just sound with music. You can choose a beach soundscape. You can choose rainforest, city park, campfire. There's other soundscapes that you can choose from. Muse has a new feature called Biofeedback Plus, which is in fact an upsell. You have to pay more money to use it, to Muse. And when you do that, you're able to link your audio feedback to Spotify so that you can use music or podcasts, which is a really cool feature that they've just have rolled out in the last few months. So that's a cool feature too. But basically, when your brain is in the zone, you will hear positive feedback. When your brain is using the anxious or the low attention or the squirrely brain pattern that's pushing you back into the screen, you will hear negative feedback in the sound of chaotic sounds for most of the soundscapes. It will also produce a graph of your brain performance, your brain functioning every single time you do a session. Oh, I skipped on accident, which is so cool. I was trying to get my cursor going here to show you that this is the graph that is produced by the Muse, and you can see it when you get done with every session. I'm going to interpret a few of these graphs for you in just a minute. So what you see here is that this person's brain is in the neutral zone for the majority of this session. So in this medium purple, it's neutral. Up here in the light purple zone is active. And so you can see that these peaks up here, they go into the active zone. Active means that the brain is using too much of anxiety mode, and it's using too much of distracted, overwhelmed, inattentive mode. So when you do a Muse session, you're essentially training your brain out of anxiety and lack of focus into a calmer and more focused mode. And down here in the dark purple is the calm focus mode. So this is the way that it works. When your brain goes active, we want to bring it back into the calm, and you will earn points based upon how well you're able to do that. If you earn a recovery, it means your brain went into the active zone and then you got it into the calm zone. Up and down, push-ups for the brain. And you can see in this session, the brain achieves 16 recoveries. Your brain will achieve birds if you get very low into the calm zone. In this session, there's 0 birds. But the better your session is, you will achieve a percentage of calm, which I will show you in a minute, and you will achieve more Muse points. So choose the mind meditation. This session is a 5-minute session. Choose 5 minutes first. Neuroscience shows that within 3 minutes, your brain achieves a brain reset. And that's what we're going for. 3 minutes can be pretty short for most people. So start with 5, and you want to see a downward trend. If 5 feels too long, back it up to 3 and work up to 5, getting a downward trend with a higher percentage of calm. Okay, so before we keep going and I show you some of those graphs, I want to show you what the optimal brain performance pattern looks like on EEG. It's called QEEG, quantitative electroencephalogram. It's the way that I can measure how a person's brain is performing. I'm able to perform a brain assessment like this with anybody all over the world. So if you sign up for my home neurofeedback coaching program, you have the ability to add the brain performance assessment to it. I stopped doing brain maps for people unless they signed up for coaching, because I was doing a lot of maps and then people would decide if they were going to do coaching, and it kind of tipped me into the wrong place I wanted to be in terms of my work. So we've had to make it so that when you commit to home neurofeedback because you know you want to improve your brain, because you are struggling with anxiety or attention or addictions, and you know you need help, then we do the brain map assessment if you're interested in it, and we move you forward. But I can also see how your brain is performing on your sessions. I wanted you to see this QEEG brain map to show you what an optimal brain map pattern looks like. And of course, optimal or perfect is a unicorn, right? It doesn't exist in the real world, but what we're trying to do is to get as close to it as possible. So in this map, you can see they're all green. Green is good. I call it the green zone. So if all of these speeds are in the green zone, your brain is performing optimally. Let me tell you about the speeds. Okay, so the speeds are the 5 main brain processing speeds that our brains use within our days and across our days to get us into the states that we need to be in to be able to achieve a balanced life. So the way that it works is, we'll start here in the middle real quick with alpha and beta. Alpha and beta in combination here are calm. Alpha is calm, beta is focus. So when you're using optimal amounts of calm focus, you feel calm and focused. You're able to get on purpose in your work. You're able to hang out with people and feel chill. You're able to enjoy your hobbies. You live a balanced life. Over here, we see delta and theta. Delta is extra slow brain speed. Essentially, it's the speed that keeps you asleep. So during the day, if it's green, you're using optimal brain mode delta. There's no sleepy mode happening in the day when you're supposed to be alert. So this is an alert, calm, focused brain. Theta is slow speed. It's a speed that's shifting you into sleep. So when it's green, it's down in the optimal zone during the day, and you feel alert and you feel calm and you're able to focus. Over here on the other side of beta, beta's fast speed. So in the middle, alpha's calm, it's kind of neutral speed. Beta's a little bit faster, it's focus speed. High beta is stress or anxiety speed. So we need high beta because if a bear charged in on me right now and tried to eat me, I need my brain to kick it into high beta so I can hightail it out of here. But then once the bear is gone and I kick its booty, I'm sure, I am back to being able to bring it down, complete that stress cycle, and get back to being calm and focused, back to my work. So high beta is anxiety mode. If your brain gets stuck in high beta, then you feel chronically anxious. So we want high beta down in the green optimal zone. And I'm going to show you what an anxiety brain map looks like, an attention difficulty brain map in just a second. We're going to move on to that. But this is what an optimal brain pattern shows you. So here's an example that I use, is that about circadian rhythms across the day. So let's say you wake up, and we're going to start here with alpha again. You wake up and you're eating your breakfast and you're having a cup of coffee and you're chilling. So you're using mostly alpha and you're feeling good. Then you need to go to work. So you kick it into beta and you're feeling great. You're focused, you're rocking and rolling. You take your breaks every hour and 15 minutes. You're highly productive. You go to lunch, you use more alpha. You go back to work, you use more beta. Something stressful happens and you're late for a meeting. You kick it into high beta to get to the meeting. But then you get there on time, you let it come down, you use beta again. These are all different bandwidths of the same energy, so one can dominate at any given time. So then you go home, you have dinner with your family, mostly alpha again, you're feeling calm. Then it's time for bed and you're starting to feel drowsy, you turn the lights off. Theta kicks in. It's supposed to kick in at bedtime to shift your brain into sleep. Then when you get in bed, delta increases and it keeps you asleep for 8 glorious hours. And you wake up the next day feeling refreshed and you go at it again, and your brain can cycle through that circadian rhythm. But if you have anxiety, you're stuck in high beta. If If you have attention difficulties, you're stuck in theta. Your brain's running too slow, and we'll look at that. So let's go on to the next slide, and we'll look at the difference between an anxiety brain map, this top one, attention difficulty brain map, this bottom one, and these two together basically make the brain pattern that pushes a person back into the screen for internet addictions. So let's break it down first. So you can see in the anxiety brain map that the slow and the medium speeds are in the optimal zone. High beta, that anxiety mode, is red and yellow, which means that it's 3 or more levels too high. This is a brain that's stuck in anxiety mode. For this brain to feel better, we have to train high beta down and get it back into the green zone so that you can feel calm and focused. Down here in the attention difficulty, or we can call it the ADHD brain pattern, the ADHD brain pattern has theta cranking in the frontal lobe. And I've already told you the Muse is awesome because it has 5 frontal lobe sensors working exactly what you need. 2 temporal lobe sensors to cover these areas over the ears that get into the reward center. So when we train theta down in the frontal lobe and we regulate the temporal lobes, you can regulate your mood. Temporal lobes are the areas of the brain for mood regulation. The frontal lobe is for attention over here, socialization, impulse control, and judgment. We know that it has strong connections to the midbrain, that reward center. So we need to train theta down so you can feel calm and focused and not feel the need to bring the brain down from overwhelm. When theta's high, it creates overwhelm. It also creates the need for self-stimulation. So for people with ADHD, that H is hyperactive. And so if the brain is running slow, because that's what's happening in theta, and we know this from tons of science proves that an ADHD brain's making way too much theta in the day. And for ADHD, it's an organic neurodevelopmental pattern that a person's born with. And there's way too much theta cranking, the brain's running too slow, and then the hyperactivity or other behaviors become self-stimulation behaviors so that that brain can feel like it's waking up during the day when it should be more alert, but it's struggling to be alert. And honestly, these two patterns are what is called comorbid. They exist together more than they don't. So what happens is if a brain has anxiety, it will try to slow itself down to take the edge off of this high beta and start pumping the brakes with the theta so you don't feel as anxious. If a brain's born with too much theta, it will crank up that high beta and have internal self-stimulation. So these patterns are comorbid and coexist more than they don't. So this is what happens. If you get sucked into an internet addiction habit, your brain likely was operating in one of these modes in the first place, but by going back into the screen, you're creating what I call a wired and tired brain pattern. Actually, I got that from a colleague. She wrote a book on electronic screen syndrome, and she calls it wired and tired. Wired meaning your brain uses more high beta because that's what the screen creates. Tired because it fatigues it and it overwhelms it over time and it creates more theta. And that's why I use the term induced ADHD, because if you have a habit in the screen, it's inducing the ADHD brain pattern. So if your brain is off the chain up here using too much high beta and you feel anxious, you're hypervigilant, your brain never turns off. And if you're overwhelmed and your brain's dragging, it's creating fatigue and you're slowed down. This is the brain pattern that's going to push you back into the screen because the screen gives it exactly what it wants, but unfortunately, it's damaging it simultaneously. So the solution is to use your Muse headband and train high beta down, 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 train theta down, 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 and get back to the optimal brain pattern. And if you grew up with an internet addiction habit, what happens is your brain may have never had the optimal brain pattern because you developed the brain pattern that I showed on the last screen. Because if you started consuming the internet, especially with consistent and frequent and intense sessions, and especially if it's highly dopamine producing, what happens then is your brain's been using too much high beta and too much theta. since you were a kid. But with the wonders of neuroplasticity and the beauty of this headband, you can, in fact, train it to optimal for the first time ever. And I want you to do that. That's why I'm here making these videos. Okay, so let's look at our first screenshot. This is a screenshot of the Muse. It starts up here in the active zone and it only achieves 9% of calm. So what that means is the brain's active, it spikes up. We see push-ups for the brain up and down, 13 recoveries where the brain's gone into the active zone, but has come lower into the neutral zone. And this is from my platform. So when I work with people and I do home neurofeedback coaching using the Muse, and if you're interested in that, go on over to drtrishleigh.com. You can check out that service. It's under the ADHD anxiety tab. What I do is I can pull up all your graphs in my platform, and this is what it looks like. And so I don't know why, but it doesn't have the light purple and the lighter purple bars to indicate neutral and active, but obviously I can see where that is at. So you can see that this brain starts in the active zone, but it has this nice downward trend. So the goal is within this 5-minute session, you want to reset your brain, have push-ups for the brain up and down, but have a downward trend so that at the end of the session, your brain is calmer and more focused than when you started. You don't want it to go up because that means you made your brain squirrelier and more tired over the course of the session. So if it's getting away from you, it's not going to harm you, but it's not resetting your brain in the way that we want to. In this session at 9% calm, you can see the brain never made it into the calm zone, so it didn't achieve the birds. The birds are chirping, literally chirping in your ears, which is the reward for your brain. It tells your brain you're making calm focus speed. So it's the positive neural feedback, the feedback to the brain. There wasn't any achieved here, but at the same time, the brain was coming down into the neutral zone and the sounds were sounding calmer. So when you are coming down towards the calm zone, the soundscape that you pick sounds calmer. If you're going up into the active zone, the soundscape sounds choppier or more chaotic, providing you negative feedback to the brain. And here you can see you achieve 319 points. Next, we have a screenshot of 50% calm, and this I would consider an average performance for a brain. You can see it starts just above the calm zone at the active zone, which is great, which is a good start. You don't want to start in the active, and if you're going to start in the neutral, it might as well be close to the calm zone. You can see there's these beautiful push-ups for the brain showing the work being done by the brain up and down, recoveries. And at the beginning of your training, there likely will be more recoveries. As your training continues, there should be less recoveries and you should have lower and flatter graphs. And so when you have lower and flatter graphs with a higher percentage of calm and you can hold it there consistently, then you can add a minute to your training. Then you can add 2 minutes to your training. We want to see the brain come down and be reset, and then you can add more training. And here we have up and down push-ups with lower levels of calm, the brain hitting these lower levels. And here you can see a beautiful plateau. Plateaus mean that you're holding your brain in that calm focus mode. And the more you hold it, the more you can use it when you're done with your session. And so these plateaus are a really good indicator that your brain pattern's getting stronger, holding that calm focus pattern. And so, of course, you'll have shorter plateaus, and over time, you will likely gain longer plateaus and maybe even earlier plateaus in your sessions. But the plateaus are good. I think of them as planks. So if these are push-ups up and down, strengthening the muscles in your arms and your brain, the plateau is you holding the plank and you're able to use those muscles and hold it down. So you can see there's 5 recoveries. There's 13 birds hitting those low points in the calm zone and achieving more Muse points of 592 points. Okay, moving on up to 68% calm. Now you can see the brain starts in the calm zone. Yes, it spikes up and we have recoveries. There's 2 recoveries from the active zone, probably this one and this one, from the active zone down into the calm zone. So it's up and down, nice push-ups for the brain. Overall, much calmer, much lower in the calm focus zone. Overall, longer periods down in the calm focus zone, less spikes up into the active zone, faster recoveries down, and just basically in the calm zone. More of the time, 68% calm, 25 birds. Now 25 times you hit the optimal brain pattern way low in the calm, and you achieve the positive feedback, 2 recoveries, and 703 Muse points. Okay, now let's move on to 93 glorious percent calm. Now, this isn't necessarily a unicorn, but it's definitely an animal that doesn't exist much in nature by itself. But I will tell you, I had 98% calm for 11 minutes a couple months ago, which I very proudly shared on my Instagram account at Dr. Trish Leigh. And you'll see I shared a recent one, not 93% calm. And brains will ebb and flow. So this is me showing you progression from less calm, more anxious and overwhelmed to calmer and more focused. But again, your brain might ebb and flow, but your baseline should improve overall. And you should be able to link where your brain is at on any given day to what is going on in your life. And that's another powerful action step that you can write notes of where you were on that day or things that were happening. So this is 93% calm. So I wrote that it's artificially induced or it's a great day because it's difficult to get 93% calm. So the day that I got 98% calm, it was a Sunday. I had eaten clean the entire week, just salads and grilled chicken, basically. I ate nothing bad for me, no sugar. I didn't drink alcohol at all. I meditated every day. I did cardio every day. I weight trained every day. And most weeks I do it some days, but not every day. I was in the zone. I got up early. I did my morning routine. I did my evening routine. I was in bed early every day. So I was doing all the right stuff for my brain. And honestly, in that 98% calm session, I was in the middle of my living room. My kids were walking around. The TV was on. My husband was talking to me. It was amazing. It was awesome to be able to hold my brain in that mode because I had gotten it to such a good place. But so 93%, it either means you're having a great day and you're doing something that's really good for your brain, or it's artificially induced. You went back into the screen. And so if it's artificially induced, you get this dopamine hit from being in the screen. And what the dopamine flood, the deluge does, is it chills your brain out, but it's not real. It's induced, and you don't want to induce this state because if you induce it too often, you're frying out your frontal lobe and the reward center in your brain. That's what happens. So you can see it's just deep in the calm zone the whole time. And there's 50 birds. There's no recoveries. It never comes out of the calm zone. So I've had lots of experiences where I'll get on a call with someone and I'll say, whoa, 93%. That's either a great day or it's artificially induced. And, my client will go, artificially induced. And then another client went, it was a great day. I had this family picnic. I was out all day in nature with my family, people I really love to be with. We had the best day. It was awesome. I came home and I did a session. Well, you know what? More family picnics for you because it puts your brain in a really good spot. But if you know that you had a slip into the screen and you were engaging in, a habit online, then you know that that's artificially induced. I want you to know this is what it does. So honestly, this is the goal, but you have to achieve it organically by working your brain to get there and sustaining this, not by throwing something into the mix that gets you there very quickly. And that's why people go into the screen, because it takes the edge off of that 9% calm graph that we looked at initially. You can take a 9% graph and make it a 93% graph in just a few minutes if you go back into the screen. That is not what I want for you. It's not healthy. You have to achieve this by yourself. So you got to do the work. You have to use the Muse. So here's how you can do it. Use the Muse every other day. So that'll make it 3 or 4 days a week. If you're inspired, you can use it every day. If you're extra inspired, you can use it 2 times a day. Don't use it too close to bedtime because it is training down that theta speed. So 2 hours before bed is what you want to do, and use it frequently and consistently, and it will pull your brain down into this optimal mode and help you to feel better. It's going to take the edge off your anxiety because it's bringing high beta down. It's going to freshen up your brain and make you think clearer. It's going to help your focus. It's going to improve your attention. It's going to decrease overwhelm because it's bringing theta down. It's popping up alpha and beta in the middle to help you feel calm and focused. So use it because it works. And you'll see that I use mine if you follow me on my Instagram page. Okay, so this is a program that I offer. It's called Control Your Brain. And in it, I teach you how to use your brain training headband. And it has neuroscience lessons. It's 3 hours and 45 minutes of digital content, 33 action steps. I give you the visuals and I tell you how to use your headband and what to do in your life to keep that brain performance pattern coming. Because in your sessions, they're 5 minutes long. It's pulling your brain in the right direction. But the way that you get the most out of it is by learning how to keep your brain in the mode that the Muse is getting it into. If you use your Muse for 5 minutes a day and you start getting better sessions, but you go back into a stressy, anxiety provoking, overwhelming, fatigued, exhausting life, it will be difficult for you to affect the change that the Muse has the potential to do for you. So when you join this program, you learn how to keep your brain in that place, how to control your brain before it controls you, keep it in that place so that all that training shows up in your life for you. And that's how people get the greatest success in the shortest amount of time. There's reading suggestions, unlimited access, and you learn how to use the headband in greater depth. Okay, so if you're looking for help on this journey, please reach out to me at drtrishleigh.com. There's a smaller program than this, there's a larger program than this, and there's other information on the website for you. So go there, rock out your best life, use this headband because you're going to love it. And one more thing before I sign off here. If you've purchased this headband and it's in your bag or it's in the box or it's under a pile of laundry, dig it out, my friend. Dust it off. Get using it. And I offer coaching where I can see all your sessions in the platform. I can see people's brains in the platform that I've worked with in the past as I was going through. They're not using the headband. So the ones that I've seen aren't using the headband. So there's got to be a lot of people out there that have this headband and aren't using it because A, they don't know how to, or two, they don't have the support. So I'm here to support you on this new playlist on this channel. But if you need more support, reach out to me because we can work together individually. Okay, as always, remember, control your brain or it'll control you.